do this. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome in on a beautiful Monday to the real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X, _ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or wherever you download your apps. Big show today. Very, very excited about it. Games, giveaways. It's going to be good. We're giving away tickets to Holiday World at 2 o'clock today. We're going to do a little more JonathIN, JonathOUT at 1 o'clock. And right now, though, we are going to start with the Masters because Rory McIlroy makes history 2 years in a row. Last year, he wins the Masters to become, to join the list of guys who have, completed the career Grand Slam in golf. And then this year, he just very casually becomes the fourth guy ever to win the Masters in back-to-back years. And whenever I watch the Masters, whenever I really watch any golf event in general, the phrase pressure is a privilege comes to my mind all the time. And I don't like it because I think that's one of the most annoying sayings in sports that people like to say. But as I was watching yesterday, I just don't think that there's a sport that you face more pressure than golf. You don't have any teammates to blame anything on. So if you lose, if you completely and totally collapse, it's on you. It's not on anybody else. You don't have any teammates, to blame it on or anything like that. Like in basketball, your teammate can make a bad pass on the final possession, and you can be like, I didn't mess up. It was him, In football, a guy can miss a block, and that can bail you out from, having to answer for your mistake in a big spot. It's all you whenever you play golf. Okay. Also, I think that games that flow have less pressure. That's why, even though tennis is an individual sport, I don't think that you feel the pressure as much because when the point starts, the point is going, you're rallying back and forth, and so you're focused on that and less so on the pressure, right? And those points can take, 20 to 30 seconds, whereas golf doesn't really flow. Rory McIlroy steps onto the tee box on the 18th hole and shanks one right. Oh, man. Now he's got to walk, 300 yards just thinking, oh, man, kind of in a tough spot here. See if I can figure this out or not. It's 300 yards of walking where you're concerned about that next shot. Okay, you have long moments leading up to a lot of big putts. You're 100 yards out. You stick it on the green to 8 feet. Then you've got 60 to 90 seconds to walk up to the ball, and that doesn't, even count the time where you get your line and all those things, right? And the whole way, you're not thinking about dinner that night. You're like, oh, man, I might win the Masters for the second year in a row, right? There's all this pressure, and I think that you just feel it a little bit more in golf. And despite feeling that, you got to find your line, stand over the ball, and then make the putt. Okay? And I just sitting at home, I get nervous just watching these guys. And I don't think that's an uncommon feeling to have. And when McIlroy sliced his drive on the 18th hole, I felt the pressure on shot 2. And he hits a beautiful shot up over the trees and puts it in the bunker. And then, from the bunker, 3 shots later, he wins the Masters for the second year in a row. And so some guys, they can feel the pressure and just, continue operating like normal. And then you have other guys who can feel the pressure, and then they don't. Justin Rose had the lead going into the back 9, or as they call it at the Masters, the second 9. And you felt the tension rise a little bit whenever that happened. It's like, man, like Justin Rose, is he finally going to get over this hump of being enabled to win the Masters, even though year after year after year, he just seems to get so close, but he just can't quite win it. And it seemed like this might be the year. Then hole 11 happened. And you could argue that hole 11 cost him a green jacket. Maybe that's a bit much, but from hole 11 on, he struggled to find his groove again. Okay. And not only did it potentially cost him a green jacket, it cost him so much money. I mean, just incredible amounts of money. I was reading up on it after. I was like, how much did all these guys make? Rory McIlroy won $3.5 million more than Justin Rose did. Scotty Scheffler, who finished second, he was able to catch Justin Rose as well, won $1.35 million more than Justin Rose did, which is just insane. But look, I'm sure Justin Rose is very happy. He went home with $1,080,000. So I don't think he's that upset. But still, there's got to be some part of him that's like, man, I could have doubled my earnings if hole 11 just hadn't gone so terribly. But Rory McIlroy's ability to handle the pressure over the last 2 years has just been, I think it's been really incredible. I would love to know. I'm sure there's audio out there on this. I couldn't find it. That's okay, though. I would love to know if he felt more pressure on the 18th hole this year or last year. Because last year, he's trying to win the Grand Slam. He's trying to win the Masters for the first time ever. Right? And that's, it's a really big accomplishment, something that he'd been chasing for almost a decade in terms of that career Grand Slam. And last year, he finally does it. Wins the playoff against Justin Rose. And then this year, he's on hole 18. He's on the verge of, again, becoming the fourth golfer ever to win the Masters in back-to-back years. He joins Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, and Nick Faldo as the other three guys who have won the Masters in back-to-back years. And you know that he knows that. Anybody who plays a sport professionally, especially one like golf, like they know the history. And so Rory McIlroy, his ability to handle the pressure was just incredible. The ability to reset and pull it off after his poor drive to start the 18th hole was, I think, the most impressive thing of the tournament. History was on the line, and he collected himself and found a way to etch himself in the history books for the second year in a row, which is just a really, really cool thing. So good for Rory. I know I kept reading things on how, and look, this is where my ignorance, I guess, shows up. I kept reading all these tweets and articles about how, Rory McIlroy's hard to root for sometimes and all this other nonsense. I don't know how that guy is hard to root for. I mean, his story is incredible and everyone loves a good story. His parents working multiple jobs just to give him an opportunity at maybe being able to go pro. And now he's the best golfer in the world right now. And it's not a surprise at all that he was able to come out and win the Masters because he said it. He talked about his preparation. He was flying, to and from Augusta basically every day, getting in as many practice rounds as he could. And I love that. I love the preparation for the moment. I'm sure, that's why he was able to execute the way that he did on hole 18. Because when you've been there multiple times and you've played the course repeatedly, preparing for an opportunity to go back to back, I mean, there's less pressure because you know that you've put the work in. So Rory McIlroy is your Masters winner. And the best part of the Masters probably came from me at about 3 o'clock. Say, well, Jonathan, what happened at 3 o'clock? Your boy fell asleep. It was great. I got done with church in the morning, went and ran 10 miles, because I'm officially a runner now because I brought that up. And I'm probably going to bring it up in the next segment too, like every runner does. Got home, took a cold shower, and then just laid down And yeah, I fell asleep like 3 o'clock, and I woke up at 4. It was awesome, so good. Chris, were you able to get in your master's nap?
No.
Okay, are you a
But
nap guy,
yeah, I am, but it sounds like you got the best nap ever.
dude?
That sounds like you really accomplished. You probably slept so hard.
Dude, I got home and my mom's a big runner, and so I'm texting her asking her all these like recovery questions. She was like, "Go buy this thing. It's for arthritis, but when you're done, like put it on your feet and do all this kind of stuff." Like, all right, and so I did, dude. You ever been so tired that like you can't fall asleep?
Yeah, you're
That's
still like a little bit of adrenaline.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of how it was at first. But man, about 3 o'clock, I took some what's it called? Not melatonin. There's another thing that you can take. It's a muscle relaxer. Magnesium.
Okay.
I took magnesium, and that did the trick. That put me out. I
Very
was like,
good.
this is great.
Very good.
And so yeah, loved that. What's Otter Creek's question here? Why did Carly Ursay claim the team has a strong sense of urgency, yet the team seems to be having a giant fire sale? That's a great question, man. I think that there's just something about being affiliated with the Colts. Like whenever you work for the Colts or you earn the Colts or you own the Colts, excuse me, your IQ just drops. I don't know what it is. It's like for some reason, whenever people come in contact with that franchise, they just kind of forget how things work. And I think fire sale, I don't know, like all the guys that the Colts have moved, it just makes sense. Like Michael Pittman Jr.'s, he was here for like 8 years. All right, that dude's like 29 years old, getting towards like the back half of his prime. Like, he wants to go somewhere where, he can like play in the playoffs, something that the Colts haven't done in 5 years now. I'm sure, when you look at Kenny Moore, I think it's the same thing. And the Kenny Moore thing, I think it's just different because the Colts know who the replacement for him is going to be. Kwity Paye, they let him walk. Like the Raiders paid Kwity Paye way too much money. To be fair to Ballard, like how much did Kwity Paye sign for? Let me pull that up real quick. While I'm pulling that up, like when you look at Zaire Franklin, same thing, older player, and it just kind of run his course here. I'll be honest, I didn't want Zaire Franklin to stay here anyway, right? Yeah, Kwity Paye signed a 3-year, $48 million contract. I think anything over like 11 or 12 million a year for Kwity Paye is an overpay, and the Raiders fully committed to overpaying him, right? And so ultimately, it's not like Bernard Ryman, who's like a 27-year-old left tackle who the Colts want to have around for a long time. It's not like he's asking out, right? Daniel Jones, it's not like he's asking out, and so on. So when you look at the younger guys, they're all sticking around. It's all the older guys who haven't competed for anything during their time here that are looking to get out. So I don't know. I don't mind it all that much. The guys that they've let go are fine. The Nick Cross leaving, I don't mind either because Nick Cross he's a safety. Like when you look at defenses, safeties towards the bottom in terms of positional importance. When you look at Abukum or however you're supposed to say it, he's like 32 and he tore his Achilles a couple years ago. I don't mind that guy's gone at all, really. And I'm sure that they think Jalen Tuimoloau is going to come on strong this year. Year 2 under the mad scientist and Lou Anarumo. I'm sure that'll get it going for him. So when you look at the guys who have left, like Abukum and Kwity Paye are like they're fine. They're fine edge rushers. Okay, and again, Kwity Paye got paid way too much money given his production during his time here in Indy. And then Franklin, older middle linebacker, not a scheme fit, right? That's what all the guys that are smarter than me say. Kenny Moore, older guy who wants an opportunity to go win somewhere. Colts have Justin Wally waiting in the wings to kind of take that spot. I do think that that's part of why they drafted him with a top 100 pick last year. Okay, and then again, Nick Cross, safeties grow on trees. Okay, like they're not hard to find to replace your current player. So And we complained about Nick Cross, or correction, you Colts fans complained about Nick Cross for years. Why are we all of a sudden now bringing up that he's gone? Like it's some big loss. I mean, come on now. I get it. We don't like Chris Ballard, but let's be honest whenever we're talking about the people that have left and all of those things. So yeah, I don't know. I don't mind the guys that have left. The concerning thing about it is the lack of draft picks that the Colts have at their disposal to replace all of those guys. And we'll see what ends up happening going forward. So the Masters, the Colts trading away players and so on. That's, I think that's a great way to start a Monday. The NBA playoffs, those are set. The Pacers have locked in their top 3 odds for the number 1 overall pick. The play-in games, they start tomorrow night. So the highest level of basketball on the planet starts tomorrow. I can't wait for it. My thoughts on the NBA playoffs in 3 minutes.
It may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM, no matter how you're tuning in, it is greatly appreciated. And I will be tuning in starting tomorrow night on all of the NBA playoff stuff. And I won't spend as much time on it because the Pacers aren't in it this year. But I'm so excited. This is my favorite sporting event of the year. over everything else, because the Super Bowl is just one game, and like that's really it. The NFL playoffs as a whole, it's like 10. It's not very many games. It's like 11 or 12 games, and then it's over. You're done. NBA playoffs, though, you're going to get like 20 games in the first round alone. And a lot of them, I think, are going to be fascinating. Playing games, again, those start tomorrow night. My guilty pleasure teams have all made the playoffs, or at least have a chance to make the playoffs, which for me just makes it so much more exciting. So those are set. Almost. We obviously have to do the playing games first, but like Clippers, Warriors, Kawhi Leonard and Steph Curry, one game, winner advances, loser goes home. Sign me up for that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Is that one tomorrow night?
I'm not sure. I think the West plays tomorrow night, which means it would be. And then actually that's not how they'll do it. They'll do an East-West game to stagger the times, but I got the schedule right here. So tomorrow night is 7:30. You got Bam Adebayo, who scored 83 points in a game earlier this year, playing against Charlotte. And Charlotte's been like one of the best teams in the NBA since January 1st. And then after that, my other guilty pleasure team plays Portland. Portland's so much fun. Portland's a good basketball team. Denny Advia just lowering the shoulder, running guys over to finish at the rim. And of course, you got Devin Booker for Phoenix. So so those are the 7-8 games are tomorrow night. The winner earns the 7th seed. Loser then plays the winner of the 9 and 10 seeded games, and then the winner of that game then earns the 8th seed. They earn the right to get swept by whoever they wind up playing. So the playoffs are set. I'm excited and can't wait. Haas saying that the playoffs are too long. Absolutely not. We don't need a 2-month NBA postseason. Yeah, we do. I'm not going to complain about more basketball. Come on now. All right. And like watching, we're probably going to get Nuggets and Spurs in the second round. That's the thing that I'm excited about this year. Like the first round games, like Lakers and Rockets won't be as interesting as it could be because Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic are hurt. That Nuggets and Timberwolves series, though, going to be a lot of fun. The Knicks and the Hawks, that series going to be a lot of fun. But like watching Detroit and Cleveland in the second round, watching the Knicks and the Celtics in round 2, watching Nuggets Spurs in round 2, like the round 2 games are going to be a lot of fun. But we only get them if those teams win. And when you go back to win, because I've seen a lot of people advocate for the first round being best of 5. The issue with best of 5 is you get more upsets that way. You get so many more upsets whenever they do a best of 5 series. So I like best of 7. It just kind of ensures that the better team wins. That way we can see Nuggets and Spurs and Rockets and Thunder and so on in all of these playoff series. So I'm all for best of 7. And look, like there's nothing like a game 7. Like a game 5 winner take all. It just doesn't feel the same. It's just not the same. So let's keep it 7. If you want to reduce the amount of time between games, like that would be fine with me. Because like in the first round, they're not playing every other day. They're taking like 2 days off and it's sometimes 3. If you want to reduce that, I am in favor of that. But especially now when they've got 3 different partners to put games on between Prime, ABC, and NBC. So playoffs are set. I can't wait for it. And the other thing, though, with the NBA, I think it's the biggest complaint that people have that has validity. It's all the complaining. I mean, like, they complain about everything. They complain about the officiating. They complain about how the playoffs are 2 months long and that's too long. They complain about expansion or not. They just complain about everything. And right now, I think that the biggest complaints are about tanking, officiating, because that's always going to be top 3 when it comes to what NBA people complain about. And the NBA's 65-game rule, which I love. I think that it's been a success. And Charles Barkley, he had something to say about all of the complaining going on about this rule. Here he is. Shut the hell up. I love Charles Barkley, man. He's awesome. Chiming in. So here's why I like the rule. Okay. Players aren't load managing as often anymore. And so that's really nice because, like, when you go to Gainbridge Fieldhouse, you deserve to not only see the Pacers and their best players on the floor, but also their opponent's best players. For me next year, I can tell you right now, the Spurs come to town, I'm going. I'm watching the Pacers host the Spurs next year because I'm dying to see Victor Wembanyama in person. And there's nothing worse than showing up and, the best player on the opposing team not be playing, especially when it's a guy as unique as Wemby. So I like the rule. We're not seeing load management when guys miss games. It's genuinely because they're hurt or suspended. We'll get to that here in a moment. And despite that, people are still complaining about it because there are going to be some guys who don't or didn't qualify for awards this year. Okay, Anthony Edwards didn't qualify. Cade Cunningham didn't qualify. LeBron James didn't qualify. Steph Curry didn't qualify. Giannis didn't qualify. Devin Booker didn't qualify for awards. And a lot of those guys would have earned all NBA nods if they were eligible. But they're not because they didn't play enough. And people are complaining about it. And there's some validity to the complaining that I'll get to here in a moment. And then you have Luka Doncic. And this is really the issue. Whenever Laker fans get involved, the complaining just goes up a whole nother level, and it's annoying. Luka Doncic, there's a decent chance that he is not going to qualify, and he would undoubtedly be like first team all NBA. You know who Luka is. I don't need to explain that to you. He's played 64 games this year. Currently, he's injured. He had like a grade 2 hamstring pull or something like that. So right now he's in Spain getting, stem cell treatment and all that kind of stuff. But here's the thing. They're going to appeal because Luka Doncic missed 2 games to travel to a different continent for his daughter's birth in December. Sounds really nice. It's like, the guy missed 2 games because he had a kid. Like that would fall under the extraordinary circumstance waiver that you can get. Okay? And you can very easily argue. It's like, look, like if he doesn't attend his daughter's birth, then he would have played in 66 games, and then he would have met the criteria. And this is the thing that people are talking about. And it sounds so nice, and it sounds so innocent. But here's the thing. He should not be granted this extraordinary circumstance waiver. Okay? And I say that, and I'm sure there's some people out there who think I'm being harsh, and that's okay. But Luka Doncic played 64 games this year, and he missed a game due to suspension because he got too many technical fouls. So maybe don't yap at the officials all year. And I feel like the league has a real good opportunity here to kind of send a message like, hey, man, maybe don't complain so much. Because if he doesn't complain as often as he does, then he would have hit the mark. Okay? And so that's like a really heated debate right now. Should he get the approval or not, or the waiver or not? I don't think that he should for that reason. But the problem that people have with the rule is that it doesn't allow for the best players to be recognized every year because of this rule, right? And part of this as well is, like if you make all NBA, like you go to Tyrese Halliburton 2 years ago, the first year that he made all NBA. Because he made all NBA, he then became eligible for the Supermax, and he made a lot more money because of it. Okay, so that's another reason why people don't like the rule, because it impacts how much money these guys are getting paid. There's money tied to it and all those things. Here's my thing, though. Hey, Chris, quick question for you.
Shoot.
If I miss 20% of the shows that we do you think that I would still be employed?
Probably not.
Probably not. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know, depending on your performance, but more than likely, no.
probably not. I don't think Mike would want to keep me around.
No.
If like every Friday I was like, hey, Mike, I know that there's a Colts game on Sunday, but I'm not going to be here on Friday because, my voice is a little strained, I need a day off. Yeah, I don't think that would work. Or every Monday, like, hey, Mike, I know that the Colts just got eliminated from the playoffs for the 17th year in a row, and people are really upset about it. And we're going to have a bunch of awesome callers, and the show's going to be great. But, I'm tired today. I just don't really feel like it. Had a long weekend. I don't think that would work. And in the entertainment business, which is what the NBA is, like, you should have the opportunity, if you perform more, to make more money, which is why I like the 65 game rule. I love the NBA, but I don't love whining. And I feel like that has just been so much of the year this year where, people are whining about this and whining about that. I just, it's annoying. I don't like it. Anyway, the Pacers have not been whining this year. They played the cards that they were dealt, and they used those cards to earn themselves a top 3 chance at, potentially earning the number 1 overall pick. They have a 14% chance for the number 1 overall pick, and they have a 52% chance to land a top 4 pick, which would allow them to keep their first round pick. If it falls somewhere between 5th and 9th, it would then go to the Los Angeles Clippers. The Pacers are due. The Pacers are due to have the number 1 overall pick. They've picked second 3 times. Chris, can you name one of the guys that the Pacers took number 2 overall? That's what we should have done for our 2 o'clock game. That actually would have been really good. The issue is I have the answers in front of me, so it wouldn't have
Okay.
worked.
Yeah, I don't know.
So in 1988, by the way, we're doing a game at 2 o'clock to give away some tickets to Holiday World, so make sure you're tuned in then, and you're ready to call in at 317-228-1430. How about this? If there's a listener out there who thinks that they know who the Pacers took with the number 2 overall pick in 1988, 1985, or 1983, call in right now. If you get at least 2 of them, we'll give you the tickets to Holiday World, and we'll scrap the game at 2.
I see the answers now.
Yeah.
Now I have an answer, but I'm not going to say.
But you got to call in like right now because I can't be having you Google it. That wouldn't be fair. All right, so we'll give you to like 12:35, I guess, to call in. 317-228-1430. If you can name 2 of the 3 number 2 overall picks that the Pacers selected, we will give you 2 tickets to go to Holiday World. Is it 2 tickets or is it more? Do you know? It's 2. Okay. Yeah, so before I get that, we got a caller. Here we go. Let's see if they can get it. I'm excited, dude. This is fun. All right. It's Ross. What's going on, Ross?
Hey, man, I was just calling in with the answer if nobody else has.
Yeah, you're up. Let's go. Who is it?
Steve Stefanovic and Rick Smits are 2 of them.
There you go. Do you know who the third one is?
I don't. It was the year I was born.
You were born in 1985?
Oh, I thought it was 83, you said.
So in 83, it was Stefanovic. In
Oh, okay,
88,
I'm mixing those up.
88, it was Smits. In 1985, it was Wayman Tisdale.
Oh, Tisdale. Yeah, that's right.
There it is.
I always forget he was on the Pacers.
I know, man. I forget
I'm
about
used to
them
being the
before.
Kings.
Yeah. Man, the 80s for the Pacers must have been a rough time if they're picking second 3
I
times.
know.
All right,
It's
Ross.
like the between the Brawl and the Paul George years kind of time, I think.
Yeah,
for them.
yeah. Absolutely. Well, Ross, stay on the line. We'll have Chris grab your information real quick so we can get you those tickets, okay?
Sweet. Thank you.
You got it. All right. Ross won Pacer tickets. Good. Or Holiday World tickets, not Pacer tickets. He won Holiday World tickets. And for the Pacers, everyone is going to be paying attention to the draft over the next little bit. As we should be. The lottery is less than a month away, and so on. And while everyone's focused on that, it's going to be so important for the Pacers to continue to get better. It's like it's so important because e- every team gets better every single year. And just like looking ahead past the playoffs to next season, like the Spurs are going to be next year, right? Because their young talent is going to be a year older and they're going to mature a little bit and all those things. Okay, the Thunder, they're going to be better next year as they're already solidified players go into another season of their primes. The Knicks could trade for Giannis in the offseason, and the Knicks could come back as a better team. And this is why it's so important for them to improve, as Pascal Siakam said after their loss yesterday to the Pistons. So, yeah, and I think Pascal Siakam is exactly right. Although I do think that this is a team that already understands what it takes because so many of these guys have had runs through the playoffs before. Um, but, like, they have to get better because, again, the Spurs are gonna be better next year. The Thunder are gonna be better. The Knicks can make a big trade for Giannis. The Hawks are gonna be better next year. The Magic are gonna shake things up a little bit, it looks like, given the fact that they're stuck in the play-in. That is not what they expected. So maybe next year's the year where the Magic, doesn't have everybody get hurt and they actually live up to their potential. So everyone around the Pacers are going to get better. Okay, so hopefully the Pacers land the number 1 pick, but they could land the number 1 pick and AJ Devonta or Boozer or Peterson, whoever they decide to take, could turn out to be a non-factor in their rookie year. Those core guys, Siakam, Halliburton, Nembhard, Toppin, and so on, all of them have to come back better players next year because the league only gets better. The league very rarely gets worse. Okay, and that's every professional, sports league, basketball, baseball, whatever, right? The NBA as a whole is going to improve next year, and the Pacers have to match that progression if they wanna compete for a title next year. It is truly that simple. So, I appreciate Siakam. His leadership has been so important for the Pacers over the past couple of years. Really, ever since he's shown up, just as a guy who's won the the NBA finals before, and, you go back 2 off seasons ago, he hosted basically the entire Pacers roster at his house in Orlando where they practiced, which is awesome, right? And you have to have guys like that in your organization if you wanna get better and if you want to hopefully hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy next June. So, hopefully, that's what happens. With Siakam leading the way, I'm pretty optimistic. Obviously Halliburton, he'll be back next year as well. So, yeah, hopefully the Pacers land the number 1 overall pick, but that is not nearly as important as everyone else already on the roster improving and getting better. Speaking of improving and getting better, Indiana basketball, they're trying to improve. They're trying to get better. They're hosting, different, transfer portal guys, doing Zoom interviews, all those things. I've got an Indiana basketball recruiting update for you in 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, so head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X__ Jonathan Smith. Follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports app, 1430 AM. If you're driving around the Indianapolis area, so many ways to listen. There's really no excuse not to. Coming up here at 1 o'clock, we're going to play JonathIN, JonathOUT. And right now, we're going to talk a little bit about Indiana basketball and their recruiting, because people are acting like the sky is falling, like all these terrible things are happening. And that's because so far, Indiana is still yet to land a transfer unless something happened in the last hour or so. But, some recruiting guy somewhere said that Marcus Burton from Notre Dame is apparently going to commit to IU here at some point. He was on campus over the weekend doing an official visit, all those things. We'll see if it happens or not. I hope it doesn't. This dude's 6 feet tall. He's going to look like a child out there compared to these Big Ten teams that are actually good. Could you imagine a 6-foot guard playing against that Michigan team from this year? Oh, my gosh. Braden Smith's about the only one in college basketball who I think could survive against Michigan at that size. Okay, I don't care that Marcus Burton averaged 18.5 points per game last year. Okay? If you don't have positional size, then you are going to struggle. You have to have it. That is something we saw across the board in the Final Four. Michigan, Arizona, UConn, and Illinois, all 4 of them had positional size. Okay, so the idea of bringing in this Burton guy, I get it. He can score it a little bit, but Indiana also hosted Darren Harris and Aiden Sherrill. Darren Harris barely played for Duke, played about 10 minutes a game this past season, where he averaged a whopping 3 points per game. So that's exciting. That'll get your blood pumping a little bit. Oh, Gritty's saying that they did get a transfer. Oh, let's go. Who was it? Who is the next savior of Indiana basketball? It's not Pascal Siakam. I can
You
say
just
that.
jumped in there, didn't you?
Yeah. Wait your turn, Pascal. All right, I'll get to you here at some point. Who did they land? It's probably the Burton kid. That would be my assumption. Oh no, Jaden Mustaf. I like this guy. 6'6", shot 39% from 3 at Georgia Tech last year. All right, that's what I'm talking about. That's a big shooting guard. Okay, like that is what you're looking for. Sign me up for that. Not Marcus Burton, who's 6 feet tall. Okay, so good. Indiana basketball fans, you can relax now. Okay, and if my numbers are still correct, that's like the 17th transfer commit in the Big Ten so far, right? So there's still plenty of time, all right, for Indiana to go out there and find guys that they like. All right, but Darren Harris, he's a guard from Duke, only played like 10 minutes per game last year. Aiden Sherrill, I don't believe is committed anywhere yet, is a guy that I want. Okay, like 6'11", played center at Alabama last year. I think he's down to like his top 5, which is, great, I guess. So hopefully this is a guy that Indiana can grab because, that's size at the center position. It's a guy who can really rebound. It's a guy who moves his feet really well. Look, you don't play for Nate Oates in Alabama if you can't step out and knock down a 3. Aiden Sherrill can do that, right? That's the kind of guy that I'd like to see in Bloomington. So congrats to Coach DeVries for landing somebody. Maybe these crazy IU fans will finally leave him alone. But, landing a guy like Sherrill, especially in the Big Ten, because every team in the Big Ten just has a monster at center, it seems. All right, like you got to go get some guys who have some thickness to them. Okay, you got to go find some guys at the center position who can really play, because you know that Purdue is going to have a good center every year. You know that Michigan is going to have a good center every year. You know that Michigan State, while they may not have a center who can like really score it, they're going to have a center who can get after it on the glass, right? And so on throughout the Big Ten when it comes to teams having these dominant centers. And that's another thing that we saw during the Final Four. Illinois had a plethora of big guys to throw at you. So did Arizona. Obviously, Michigan had Mara. UConn had Caravan and Justin Reed Jr., and so on. So, like, you have to have a center in the Big Ten if you want to survive Big Ten play, but you also need one if you're going to go on a run during March Madness. So, hopefully, Aiden Sherrill's a guy ends up being that guy for Indiana basketball. And staying in the world of college sports and guys transferring, I read a thing the other day. Don't know if it's accurate or not, but like 54% of like eligible college basketball players next year are in the transfer portal, which is nuts. And, after the Final Four, I played a lot of Danny Hurley audio, and I've got a little bit more for you. He went on the Dan Patrick Show. I believe this was last week, and he talked a lot about the transfer portal and different players leaving. So here's Danny Hurley and Dan Patrick talking about the transfer portal. Danny Hurley talking with Dan Patrick right there about the transfer portal, and he makes some really interesting points. And I've seen so many people get hung up on that little bit there at the end of the clip where he says Braylon Mullins, really good player, could make more at UConn next year than if he's the 15th pick in the NBA draft. I don't know. Maybe. I looked into it. The lowest amount that the 15th pick in the draft can make is about $2.7 million. The most they can make is $4.6 million. So basically, the Cliff Notes version of how you get these numbers. Every draft pick is worth an X number. Every guy that is drafted can every draft slot has a certain amount of money allotted to it in terms of how much you have to pay them yearly, right? And then you can pay them 80% of that or 120% of that. Then you get into the agents. Is your agent good, bad, whatever? Okay, so Braylon Mullins can make anywhere between $2.7 and $4.6 million next year if he's the 15th pick in the draft. And there are definitely players earning similar NIL deals. But that is never the point in leaving. It's never the point in leaving. The goal is the second contract. And the sooner you can get to that second contract, the sooner you can get to your third contract. Say, well, Jonathan, how much is the second contract? It's a great question. So Cooper Flagg right now is making $13.8 million a year. Okay. When he is eligible for an extension, he's going to get a major bump because he's going to be a guy. I think everyone knows that. When Cooper Flagg is eligible for his extension, he'll be able to make up to $80 million a year if he earns an all NBA bid or something similar before that time comes. So if Braylon Mullins leaves now, then he's a year closer to potentially earning that big of a deal, or maybe a smaller one where he only makes $40 million a year. Because when you're 6'6" and you can shoot it the way that Braylon Mullins does, like you're going to play in the league for a while. Okay, that's why guys leave early. It's not about your rookie year compared to how much money you're going to make your sophomore year in NIL. So sure, players like Braylon Mullins could stay in college, make a couple $100,000 more compared to what they would make in the NBA. That's great. And for some guys, like Danny Hurley lays out in that clip, that's what they should do. Guys who like college and do need to develop a little bit more and all those things. But if you're going to be a lottery pick, you should absolutely leave and start working towards that monster deal that every NBA player wants. Because even if you don't earn the full max, I mean, you can still make $25 million a year when you're 25 years old. That sounds pretty great. I would like to make $25 million a year. That sounds pretty wonderful. So that is always the thing. And again, there's some guys who should stay, like Flory Badunga he's making a boatload of money at Louisville, which is amazing to me. Like people are treating Flory like he averaged like 24 and 12 last year. He was like a nice player. I don't get that one. But anyway, the transfer portal, it's ramping up as it always does. And so is the Real Jonathan Smith Show because we're playing JonathIN, JonathOUT in 4.5 minutes.
do this. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 2 getting underway here on the real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. It is Monday. It is 1 o'clock. I think we're just going to do this every Monday at 1. I think that's the plan. But then again, the show's new, so I may change my mind. We'll see. But it is time for a new game. We'll call it new still. JonathIN, JonathOUT. We did it last week, and we're going to do it again this week. Play the intro.
Bottom line, are you in or are you out?
What are you talking? In or out of what?
No time for questions, just action. In or out.
Okay, well, then I'm out.
I'm sorry, Jet. Actually, you're already in.
Okay, then why would you ask me?
Because I thought you would go, I'm in, Bob. And we would have had a really cool moment, but you kind of ruined the whole thing.
Great clip.
There you go. Yeah, I love that, man.
So, for those who don't know, who may have missed it last week, basically, Chris is going to ask me a series of questions, some of them related to sports, some not related to sports, and he's just going to ask me if I'm JonathIN or JonathOUT on them. So,
basically, if you agree or don't agree or something you'd be in or out of, right?
That's right.
Fair enough. That's easy. All right, so like the first one here, in or out, JonathIN, JonathOUT. On Mike Vrabel opting out of his pre-draft press conference to avoid Rossini questions.
Do you know the story behind this? Have you seen this?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so there's this photo of Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel at a private resort that, looks a little romantic, where they're like interlocking fingers, about to hug. It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for either one of them. A lot of questions being asked by the spouses when they got home, I'm sure.
Sure. Yeah, a little awkward.
Just a little bit. And Mike Vrabel canceled his pre-draft press conference to avoid these questions. And I just think that's so incredibly soft. I'm completely out on it. Mike Vrabel is supposed to be like the man's man when it comes to NFL head coaches. He is this big presence that does a really good job when speaking to the media about really anything. And if there's anybody that I have faith in to just kind of squash rumors, it's him. And so the fact that he's actually opting not to speak, I think, is not the best look for a lot of the rumors that have been flying around about how they've been getting it on in their own time.
So clearly you're out.
Out.
Fair
Very
enough.
out. Very out on cheating on your spouse with NFL head coaches.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say. You shouldn't play where you work, right?
Dude, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
In or out, Jonathan, on Indiana basketball's slow start to the portal. Obviously, we just had a little news there, but how else do you feel about it? In or out?
I'm in. I like it. There's no hurry. I felt like last year when Coach DeVries came in, they picked up guys really quickly, which I think that tells me that they were offering guys like the best offer that they knew that they were going to get. All right, and because it's not like he had a bunch of guys from West Virginia follow him over. He had his son, and that really seemed like that was about it. I'm sure I'm wrong on that, but yeah, so I'm glad that they're starting a little bit slower. That tells me that they're going after better players and that they're competing with other teams like North Carolina and Purdue and whoever else, that they're competing with those teams for these guys. Because if guys are signing with you really quickly, that either means that they really want to be a Hoosier, which is possible, or it means that you are giving them what is by far their best offer. So I'm very in on the slow start to the portal. That being said, hopefully it picks up here just like a little bit as we continue on.
Okay, very good. In or out, NBA play-in games.
All the way in. The play-in games, like people love March Madness because it's one and done, and so there's a lot of pressure and weight behind every single game. And the play-in games not only give you that, right, because like the loser of the 9-10 game on Wednesday night like those teams are done for the year. If you're in the 7-8 matchup, then if you win, you're in the playoffs. If you lose, then your season becomes on the line. So I really like it. It also makes the end of the regular season more interesting. Like yesterday, the Orlando Magic lost, and that was a big deal because if they'd won, then they would have had a chance to avoid the play-in, which is obviously something that everybody wants to do. So it's like it's an anti-tanking measurement that works, and it also gives us some of that one and done kind of style of play.
That made me think of another question while you were kind of explaining that, because I'm constantly overthinking things over here. What do you think about JonathOUT on a college style tournament for the NBA? Like just one and done for just all the teams. I know you play towards something different towards the end of the season, but what if all the teams just had one massive tournament at the end of the season, one and done?
It'd be really I think it would be crazier than the NCAA tournament, I think. Because the gap between the best team in the NCAA tournament and the worst team in the NCAA tournament, the gap's like 40 points.
Yeah.
Like whenever you watch those 1 seeds play against 16 seeds. Whereas in the NBA, the gap between the best team in the NBA and the worst team in the NBA, it's like 8 points. It's really, it's not that big of a gap. And so you would have more upsets, which the NBA is such a star-driven thing. I don't know how NBA fans would feel about it if, like, Nikola Jokic gets bounced in, like, the second round.
To the Wizards or something?
Yeah. It was like they lose to the Wizards because Trey Johnson goes on a heater. Like, like, non-NBA fans would be like, this is great. This is so funny.
Yeah.
But, like, the NBA purists who are, like me, staying up till 1 a.m. to watch the Clippers play, like, we'd be pissed. It'd be like, like, what was the point of me watching all this?
Fair enough. So you would be out.
Yeah, out on that.
Very good. JonathOUT on the next question here. Winning back-to-back titles / Green Jackets for the Masters.
I don't know how you wouldn't be in on this, right? I think that it's just such a special thing. Like, if back-to-backs happened all the time, I think I'd be out on it. But, like we had like we had like a decade-long drought between the Patriots going back-to-back in the NFL and the Chiefs going back-to-back. We had like a 14-year drought, I think it would be, between the Lakers going back-to-back in the NBA and the Warriors doing it in 2017 or 2018 or whatever it ended up being. And so there's just, and like, I mean, when you look at the Masters, I mean, I'm trying to think. Tiger Woods was the last one to go back-to-back. I'm pretty sure that happened in like the early 2000s. It's been like 20 years. It's been a long time. And so it's such a cool thing. I think it's got to be one of the coolest things in sports is seeing teams go back-to-back. Like the Thunder, that's probably the only team I'm out on going back-to-back because I just can't stand them. And they, but they very well might do that this year. So it's such a rare thing, especially in professional sports. I feel like in college sports, we see it a little bit more often. So yeah, all the way in on that.
Fair enough. I have a couple for you here that are JonathOUT, not sports related, but I got to add a little extra.
I like it.
All right. So the first one I came up with is like, let's say you've been waiting all day for whatever food that you're going to get at a restaurant, right?
Okay.
I don't know what your favorite restaurant is. Like, where do you like to go?
Right now, it's Vito Provolone.
Okay. So let's say you're going to Vito Provolone. The basic concept, JonathOUT, you get there and there's like a 45-minute to an hour wait. Are you in on waiting or you just out and you'll get it later? This is your favorite place. You've been waiting all day. You in or out?
I'm in. I have a story for this, actually.
Okay, go for it.
So for my bachelor party a couple years ago, it was awesome. I'm going to say that first. We went to the Hoosier Gym.
Nice.
Played pickup basketball for 2 hours because you can rent it out. It's really cool. And then when we were done, we all went to Aspen Creek in Noblesville. A great steakhouse, really good.
Okay.
But not overly expensive though. It's so anyway, so we show up, it's a Friday night or Saturday night, and we walk in and there's a 45-minute wait. And I'm like, guys, we're waiting because at that point, every other place that's like similar probably also has a 45-minute wait. That's my thing. It's like, okay, I can get on the list now, wait 45 minutes, or I can drive 15 minutes to somewhere else and get on their list, which is going to be 45 minutes when I show up. So it's just faster if I just wait here.
This is true. I would agree with that.
I'm in.
Okay, very good.
You?
I would say the same. I think it's kind of circumstantial depending on how hungry I am, because like if I'm hangry, then I'll probably just, hit a drive-through. I don't want to wait.
I was going to say bail
for an
and go
hour.
get like Taco Bell.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll make plans for that place another day. All
Okay.
right, very good. The next one, I was kind of thinking about like, man, you're having the best day ever. And this is like one of those superstition type things, right? They're like, man, you're having such a good day. You should pick up a lottery ticket on the way home. Or do you believe in that kind of superstition, in or out on picking up a lottery ticket on your way home on a really good day?
I don't know. That's a really good one. I think I'm out. Because if you lose, wouldn't it kind of ruin your day?
In some sense, but you can't win if you don't play, right? So
That's true.
Like,
That's also true.
I was thinking about this, like somebody texted me this morning, oh man, my favorite song came on whenever I woke up. It was stuck in my head last night and I found a penny on the ground or whatever, even though pennies are irrelevant these days.
I know.
Bottom line,
they're not even making them anymore.
Right.
So
So
there
like,
should have been value here at some point.
whenever those things are happening throughout your day, do you feel in a good enough mood to pick up, like a Powerball ticket or something on your way home?
I usually don't. No. It's usually more like, I'm feeling really good today. What's something I do whenever I'm feeling really good? And I think
This weekend on ESPN, but they were just talking about the NBA playoffs. You have to download Amazon Prime. You have to watch this here and that there. Are you JonathIN or JonathOUT on having 5 different streaming services to watch whatever you desire that you want to watch or need to watch?
I'm in. I don't mind it
Really?
at all. I think it's the most overblown thing. All right, let's start with the NBA playoffs. It's on 3 different channels.
That's right.
It's on, ABC, it's on NBC, and it's on Amazon Prime. Okay. Everyone that I know has Amazon Prime. All right, it's not like it's on like Fubo, right? And you got to go buy a whole new thing. Like most people already have Amazon Prime, and so I don't mind that. Do you know how many channels it was on last year?
I can only imagine. I was only focused on the Pacers.
It was on 2.
Right.
And this year it's on 3. It's 1 more channel.
It just seems like we keep getting further and further from just like, can I just go to one place? I think I'd be out on it, but you're in on all the streaming services.
I don't mind. Yeah. And like, I like it because it also gives me more options. Like, so let me think. So like the last show that I sat down and was like totally bought in on and watched really quickly, I watched it on Netflix. Okay. And then the next show that I sat down and I really enjoyed, I watched it on Amazon Prime. And then the show I'm watching right now, I'm watching season 3 of Tulsa King. Really good. And like that's on Paramount Plus. Like if you want more options and you want access to more good TV or whatever, then like you're gonna have to get multiple streaming services. Now, if you're not a big like TV person, then okay, yeah, like then you're probably out on it. But as someone who really likes like watching shows, and this is also probably, I don't want to be rude. This also might be like a young guy thing too. Like it's just kind of always been this way. Where,
I suppose, yeah.
Where you bounce around. So yeah, I don't mind it.
Okay.
I'm in on it.
So you're in. I would be out. I mean, this could just be a generational thing, but we have McAfee's show on here in the studio, and he's talking about WrestleMania this weekend, where you can watch the first hour on ESPN2, and then go to ESPN to watch. Like, why? Can we just like keep it?
Issue.
Can we just
Why isn't it on net? I thought WWE hammered out.
You see what I'm saying? You don't know where to go because it's in so many different spots. Like I don't want to chase. I don't want to chase what I want to see.
That's
like,
fair.
Can we just keep it in one spot?
But that's the thing. Like NBA playoff games don't start on Amazon Prime, then at halftime switch over to ABC.
That would be frustrating.
That would be like that. I get that would be frustrating.
Fair enough. Last one I have for you for today, Jonathan or JonathOUT, completely random, and it could be dumb, but there's a study out there that says if you smoke Chinese cigarettes, you could download the Chinese language and be able to speak Mandarin fluently. If this was true,
What?
if this was true, a true theory, would you be in or out if you could pick up a new language?
Okay, so let me back up. Let me make sure I fully understand what you just said. So there's a theory
Right.
that if you smoke Chinese cigarettes, you'll learn how to speak Mandarin?
Yeah, it's a theory, and it's kind of like downloading it. If this was possible, I've never done this, obviously. I can't speak Mandarin, but if they said, you order, if that's how you had to learn and you could learn all this language and download it, would you
By
be in
smoking
by smoking
cigarettes?
their cigarettes?
I'd be out on it right now. But like if I was gonna go to China for like a vacation, then sure, why not? So as of right now, I'm out. But if I ever plan a Chinese vacation, I'll be in on it.
It's like Popeye and a can of spinach. Like, hold on, let me smoke this cigarette and I'll see what you're saying.
One of my favorite videos ever. So you know how like if you go get like a manicure or a pedicure, there's a lot of Mandarin speaking people there.
Yeah.
And you'll be in the chair and they'll just be speaking in Mandarin in front of you. There's a video of this pasty white guy. Shows up, speaks fluent Mandarin. So he's sitting in the chair and they're like talking about his feet in Mandarin. And then he just like joins the conversation and they're like the look of like, oh no.
Right. They're
He
stunned.
understood everything we just said. So great.
Good stuff.
Can I go back to restaurant waiting?
Go for it.
If you're ever eating in like the Castleton area, okay, and you go to a restaurant and the wait's too long and you're hangry and you want food, I have a recommendation for a place that you should go. Okay.
Okay.
It's called California Burger. It's a fast food place. It's so good.
Really?
It's incredible.
Okay.
Like what's the best fast food burger you've had?
Oh man, I'd have to think about it, but that sounds really good too.
I don't know.
I'd probably say In-N-Out.
Okay. Better than In-N-Out.
Okay.
Promise. It's so good. And yeah. California Burger in Castleton.
I'll keep
Go
that
there.
in mind.
It's
All right.
really good.
There's a plug for you, California Burger.
That's right. Call in and sponsor the segment. Jeez Louise. All right. Okay. That is JonathIN, JonathOUT. Just a nice, fun way to spend a Monday. You know what's a great way to spend a weekend? Going to a romantic resort in Arizona with your actual spouse, not with like an NFL reporter.
Don't be Mike Vrabel.
Don't be Mike Vrabel. He's ducking smoke. More on that in about 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM. So many ways to listen. There's really no excuse not to. That's just, the reality of it. And excuses. Excuses are frowned upon, but sometimes it's important to have, some sort of excuse. Like when you come home late, and your spouse is like, hey, where were you? Maybe don't say I was in Arizona with a female NFL reporter. We were hanging out. Mike Vrabel is currently ducking smoke. And I wasn't going to talk about this a ton whenever the news first broke because it's just not my thing. Like, people suck. I don't think that's really a surprise. But Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini, NFL reporter, were caught photographed at this private romantic resort in Arizona. And Mike Vrabel was supposed to do a press conference leading up to the NFL draft. He has canceled it. And when I heard the story, I immediately thought about this lesson that my dad told me when I was a kid. He looked at me and said, if you don't tell people the truth, then they'll just make one up. It's the reality of it, right? I'll never forget when my dad told me that. I don't remember what the context was, but I think he was right, especially when you look at the society that we live in now. We live in a society where people love to gossip, right? Like, it's just something that people like to do. People have wild takes on the internet. Like, people will go on the internet and say that Artemis 2 wasn't real. Like, that didn't really happen, even though it was all live streamed and real world problems happened on the spaceship, where their Microsoft, where they couldn't log into their email because Microsoft was down or whatever it was, right? But you got people out there who are like, we didn't really land on the moon. We just faked 9 moon landings. No big deal. Right? And so, if people say wild things like that on the internet, imagine what they'll say about something that has photographic evidence. Wait, that's not a good example. We have photographic evidence of the moon landing. So never mind. So maybe there's people out there like, this isn't real. This is AI. That's probably going on. But anyway, but for some reason, people read these insane things on the internet and they take them as truth for whatever reason, right? So we talked Friday. I think this is a great example of this. Do you remember the chess player that we talked about on Friday?
Yes.
He was accused of cheating by using anal beads during a chess match. And do you know how that rumor started? Someone put it on the internet, and then people grabbed it, and then they ran with it. Okay? So now, right now, Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini, they've got some explaining to do. Okay? We haven't heard really any update from them. Haven't heard anything from them on the story since the photos of them at this private romantic resort in Arizona surfaced. And right now, people are just saying stuff, making up rumors, dragging their names through the mud. Okay, there's all this different speculation, like who took the photo? Was it a private investigator? Was it paparazzi? Was it, some random person that was just like, hey, that's Mike Vrabel. Oh, that's Diana Rossini. Oh, they're hugging. Let me take a photo of this. Okay? And at some point, you're going to have to say something. And I just love how the no distractions head coach, because that is the biggest thing with Mike Vrabel. Wow, we don't need any distractions. We don't need any. So the no distractions head coach is creating quite the distraction. I mean, you could argue this is the biggest story in the NFL right now. because this draft, for some reason, isn't as polarizing as others. That's because there's a clear number one overall pick. There's really no debate over that, and so on. So the biggest story in the NFL is this thing, and Mike Vrabel has the opportunity to go squash it. And he's just completely passing on that opportunity. He should do the press conference. Go to the press conference, tell the truth, or your version of the truth, something like that, and then move on. Because the longer you let this sit, the more people are going to speculate. And the more people speculate, the more out of hand this gets. I think we all know that they're doing stuff that they shouldn't really be doing. Just go get the embarrassment of the situation over with.
At this point in it, are you more likely to see the truth in this, or do you think they're working on excuses right now on what people have seen?
Yeah, that's the other thing too. I think the longer you wait, the more it seems like you were plotting on what you were going to say. Whereas if, Rashidi and Vrabel had come out the next day and they'd been like, look, we were doing this thing. Rashini's like, my New England source is now burned. What a bummer. Whatever. And then move on. So I think that the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to believe them. So again, just do the press conference. Get it over with. All
Fair
right.
enough. Yeah.
Move on. Have us, go back to talking about, who are the Patriots going to draft with the 31st pick in the first round, right? Go back to being boring. Like that is such a staple of the best franchises. Like they're all boring. Like the Thunder and the Spurs and the Nuggets in the basketball world, boring. The Patriots, boring. The Seattle Seahawks, boring, and so on. Right? And then say, well, Jonathan, what about the Colts? They're pretty boring. They're more interesting than those franchises. I mean, they are. And so go back to being boring. Yeah, just get this over with, right? Like you don't need this hanging over your head throughout the full course of your season. So, I mean, at some point, man, like you got to squash it.
It's going to end up being like that CEO situation, the guy that was at the Coldplay concert with his whatever she was. Remember that story?
Yeah, I do.
I feel like that's what's about to happen with Mike Vrabel.
That's a great comparison. That's such a good comparison. So John Buzzard saying this is TMZ level stuff with a lot of buzz. It is. And if you just go out and, do whatever, you say something about it, it would help. Okay. Buzzard saying that he hopes that they have open marriages. Maybe that would explain it. Mike Vrabel just walks up to the podium and he was like, my wife said it was fine.
She's okay. She knows about it. It's fine.
That's a Buzzard joke. John Buzzard. Great. Usually on point with these jokes. So, but yeah, seriously. Hey, look, I didn't want to tell anybody my wife and I are swingers. Okay. I didn't want to ruin our perception, but it's just how we are. Okay. So, oh man, that'd be so funny. I don't know how the reaction to that would go. I don't know if that would make the story bigger. I don't know if people would just be like, oh,
that's
okay.
Not as fun as I thought it would be.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, that'd be so funny. Oh, that'd be hilarious. Oh man, we got a caller while you're grabbing them. Tom Pelissero, who does a really good job reporting and covering the NFL, reported earlier that North Dakota State quarterback Cole Payton is visiting the Colts today. Another running quarterback. Good for the Colts, I guess, man. Like this is someone who they would probably draft, I'm assuming, later in the draft. But hey, we'll see what they wind up doing. Buzzard, what's going on, man?
No, like I said, it's easy. All he has to do is walk up there. And honestly, even if he's lying, it might make it go away. It's just like, I checked with her. She was okay with the upside down pineapple. She had the white rock in front of her house. It was fine. And honestly, that would probably make it go away. His wife would be pissed and could divorce him quietly. But I don't know. That would be amazing.
And then you have like Diana Rossini who comes out and she's like, "Look, when my husband and I got married, we both made a list. He knows Mike Vrabel's on my list."
Yeah. My favorite thing about a horrible situation is her. So everybody's finding all these sound bites from all of her previous shows where she's ripping her husband for just being average. Or I went to Miami and did some unspeakable things. And all of these clips that are coming out, if you were sitting as her husband, who probably hired the private investigator for revenge of all of this stuff, and how cool would that be? But I just can't imagine how does he function? Like, is he an accountant where he just has to go to work? So you have all this stuff going in. How do you live your life and just show up to work with all that stuff going on in the background while everybody's looking at you knowing that your wife just did that?
Seriously. Or even just like, could you imagine going to work the next day when your wife just like slanders you on TV for being average?
Right.
It's like, hey, buddy,
Yeah,
I saw what your wife said about you yesterday. You doing okay?
I don't know how that would be a normal, if you're any kind of a male with, what Dan used to explain of having the great American penis, you could not go into work and just show up and be okay with it. That would just have to drive me nuts. Yeah, I would at least have to have a couple of conversations.
I would have to have one. I'd be like, if you do that again, good luck.
Yeah. So that's it. So I blame it on the upside down pineapple. It works every time.
Okay, will do. Thanks for the call, Buzzard.
All right, man.
So knowledgeable about the pineapple.
Yeah, the upside down pineapple on cruise ships and white rocks in front of your house in Carmel. Those are the signs.
So what now? The white rocks? I
Yeah,
have not heard of this.
white rocks in front of the house in Carmel.
That's a sign?
It's apparently a sign. Yep.
Okay.
Apparently. So, and
All
hey,
right.
if anyone would know, it's John Buzzard who does a lot of landscaping. You would know. We take his word on that.
Oh man.
I know. It just incredible stuff. I have a question about the Masters when we come back in 3 minutes for you, Chris.
may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Well, welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM. So many ways to listen. There's really no excuse not to. Before we get to my question that I have for Chris, big news for Indiana basketball. Darren Harris has committed to play basketball for the Hoosiers next year. The 6'6" guard, love that, averaged 3.3 points for Duke last year. So, we'll see. Doesn't exactly I don't know. It doesn't get my blood churning. Let's just, we can just kind of leave it at that. So I get it. He was like a formerly, highly touted recruit, was like top 40 in some places. Yep, top 40, but he wasn't one of the 9 best guys on Duke's roster last year. So, it'll be fine. But there you go. Another recruit landed for Coach DeVries and the rest of his staff. So here's my question. Let me kind of set the stage first, okay? Over the weekend, we had the Masters going on. Big deal. A lot of big-time people showing up for it, right? A lot of major athletes taking their time to go to Augusta and take in one of the coolest sporting events in the world. We also had Coachella. I would argue that the person that decides to go to the Masters is very different than the person that decides to go to Coachella. Okay? Caleb Williams was photographed in the VIP section of Coachella with Kendall and Kylie Jenner. Jenner, right?
Okay, yeah.
What does it say about your quarterback if he chooses to go to Coachella over the Masters?
I think it's to each their own, man. Everybody's got different flavors for,
Man,
I mean,
I just like, and I get that Caleb Williams is like a different kind of guy, not saying that like he's just different, and I can't imagine, like, Aaron Rodgers is probably the only other quarterback I could imagine going to Coachella over the Masters. And that's just recently because he's gotten, a little weird.
sure.
I just, man, I don't know. This is like one of those things where you could do like a big think piece, you title it Coachella over the Masters, why Caleb Williams isn't the future of the Chicago Bears.
I don't know if it's that deep because Coachella is a pretty big thing.
It is.
But
I don't know.
it's the Masters, not,
I just want like my quarterback to be a sports guy. You know what I mean? It's like, like the Bulls aren't any good, right? But like I would want him to be at like the playing game if that was the case. You know what I mean?
right.
I don't know. Football guys are like they're tough and they're competitive and those kinds of things. And I just like the Masters is that. Like winning the Masters is tough, like the mental fortitude that it takes, all those things. And then you got Coachella, which is like a good time. It's a good hang. The number of like NBA players that have dated a Jenner and then like their careers have fallen off. Don't know if I like that he's hanging out with the Jenners.
He's living his best life, man. That was a Caleb Williams thing and not a sports thing. I think that was his direct choice.
But what is the most important part of playing quarterback? Decision making.
Okay.
I don't know if I like the decision for him to hang out with the Jenners.
I mean, they might have just been there in coincidence. Hey, I'm in the NFL. Hey, we're been everywhere. It could just be one of those things. I don't know.
I will say, I do like, which Jenner is it? There's a documentary out on Lamar Odom. Let me think here. What's her name? There's like because there's three Jenner sisters, right?
Something like that. I haven't kept up with them.
He dated Khloe.
There you go.
All right.
Kardashian.
Yes. Oh, Kardashian.
Yeah.
Thank you. He was with Kardashian sisters, not Jenner sisters. I'm dumb. Anyway, I will say I like Khloe Kardashian.
Okay.
So there's a documentary on Netflix about Lamar Odom, and it's really good. We were talking off the air about how much money it would take for us to do cocaine. And
it wasn't a random. Let me just say that this wasn't a random.
Chris said he would do it for free. By the way,
this wasn't a random conversation. We were talking about, when Dan was. We had the conversation. Misfits, you know what we're talking about. We're not just in here talking about doing cocaine. Okay?
So, but anyway, Lamar Odom famously was addicted to cocaine, and then about a decade ago, he went into like a coma for 3 days because of his cocaine addiction. It wasn't good. So he like comes out of the coma. He can't talk, can't walk, just like completely. It was bad.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then when you watch the documentary, you learn that Khloe Kardashian was there like every day, helping to nurse him back to health. It was I walked away from the documentary and I was like, man, I feel so terrible for Lamar Odom because you learn that like his 1-year-old son died, which is just brutal. And then you learn all this stuff about Khloe Kardashian being like really important and helping him get his life back on track. So,
Sure.
Yeah, not good. Gritty saying Lamar's a total tool in that documentary. Gritty, have some mercy. Have some mercy, okay? Buzzard asking if I watched the new Jailblazers documentary. It's not out yet. It comes out tomorrow, I think. And I will be watching that. I'm so excited.
What is Jailblazers? What is that?
So, early 2000s, you have the Portland Trailblazers.
Okay.
They just had a bunch of guys who had gotten in trouble. They had a registered sex offender playing for them, which is nuts.
Was this back in like the Rasheed Wallace days and stuff like that?
Yeah. When Zach Randolph was playing for them. So they were nicknamed the Portland Jailblazers.
Gotcha.
And so that's a documentary that I have circled, and I'll probably watch it tomorrow morning, maybe. That is the nicest thing about this job, man. I can like watch a documentary in the morning. It's nice. It is.
I see.
I like it. Okay. So we were talking about Bonzi Wells. Oh, nice. That's cool. All right. We were talking about the Masters and Coachella. Let's go back to the Masters. I personally would like it if my quarterback picked the Masters over Coachella, but Chris, you're probably right here. It's probably a personal
So if you
thing.
were a GM and had your quarterback and he skipped the Masters to go to Coachella, what would your punishment be? Would you fine him? You're like, this is very quarterback-like of you.
Poor life decisions. for picking Coachella with the Kardashians over the Masters.
You must sit the first 2 games of the season.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Actually, I'm like, dude, why were you even out? You should have been in a dark room watching tape, getting ready for next year. Hey, one of my favorite things that I saw, it may have been last weekend. There's like this, it's like Mario Cristobal, head coach of Miami, at some like big UFC event or something like that. And you just know that while he's doing that, Coach Signetti is in a dark room watching film, getting ready for the season. And, I mean, look, it's one of those things where, like, if Miami's bad, everyone's gonna do this thing. We're like, oh, well, maybe if he hadn't been at this UFC event, if he'd been grinding film instead, then maybe they'd be better, or, whatever it is. So, I don't know. I just think that coaches and players, they don't need to be careful. They just need to be cognizant of, like, if things don't go my way this year, I'm gonna I'm gonna catch some crap for that,
So basically, what you're saying later on this year, if Caleb Williams doesn't have a great year, you're gonna reference Coachella.
Oh yeah, I'm like, hey man,
remember that time?
Maybe if you've been at the Masters instead of Coachella, maybe the Bears wouldn't be 3-5 right now.
Maybe we wouldn't be moving to Indiana. We'd have the Bears here in Chicago.
That's right. I hope they come to Indiana. I doubt it's gonna happen, But like the anyway. Oh man. And plus, like this is a me thing. This is a me thing. I would have rather have been there to see like I would have preferred to have seen Rory McIlroy go back to back. I don't even know who performed at Coachella this year. I know Sabrina Carpenter was there. Justin Bieber did a thing on like YouTube or something like that. Like, I don't know. I would have rather have been at the Masters to watch McIlroy go back to back. I don't know.
That's fair. You already know where I would be. I'm a music fan and not super into golf, but
What's the
to each
best?
their own.
Have you been to a music festival like that before?
I've been to multiple music festivals, not quite one like Coachella. It's a little bit more diverse and like there's rock and then there's hip hop and then there's pop. There's a bunch of different artists. The festivals I've been to are mainly just rock.
Okay. What's
But
the
there's-
biggest one you've been to?
Probably Sonic Temple. This is over in Ohio. It's like 3 days of like, I don't know, over 100 bands or something crazy like
Oh,
that.
geez,
They have it
yeah.
every summer. By the third day, you're done, right? So, but
Are you going this year?
possibly, yeah.
Okay.
But it's up to 4 days now. So they get all your money, you get sunburnt, you get wore out, and then that Tuesday when you go back to work, you're not doing anything.
That's right.
No production.
Okay, Ross just said something on the YouTube chat, and I now have a theory. Okay. Caleb Williams didn't want to go to the Masters because he didn't want to part from his phone.
That could have been a valid reason too.
I'm so interested. Look, like, I love it because like all of the photos at the Masters are awesome. And it's because everybody in attendance is locked in on the thing that's happening. Whereas, like you go back and let me think. Like someone's going to hit some game winner in an NBA playoff game this year. And the crowd behind, there's going to be a bunch of people going crazy because most people, when they go to sporting events, like they do pay attention. But there's going to be like 4 people that are like looking at their phones or whatever. It's going to be like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I don't know if you've seen that rom-com.
Yeah.
Where she makes him go get a Coke or whatever, like right at the end of the game. So funny. But yeah, like I do wonder if young people, I don't count myself in that, if like less and less young people go to Augusta because of the phone thing.
It's a possibility. I mean, everybody attached to their phones like that. What are you separated from your phone for like what? Like something like 6 hours or something like that while you're out
Yeah.
on the golf course?
Yeah, I mean, but like you're not just showing up for when they're playing. Like most people get there early.
Right.
You're going like probably like 8 hours without it.
No, I think that's smart.
And then like the last day, you're showing. I think the first people tee off, early in the morning. It's like let's say you get there like 7. Like Roy McIlroy finished this round at like I'm trying to think probably around like 5 o'clock, and then you have like the big ceremony where everyone's like celebrating, and I mean you're going like 12 hours without it. Could Caleb Williams just not part from his phone for 12 hours?
That might be a debate thing that we do on your debate segment. Just
Okay,
like,
we can do that.
what sporting events would you do where you couldn't have your phone for hours at a time or
All
something?
of them. I
Yeah.
think they'd all be so much better. I think people would have a better time. Like, yeah, like I was at the Pacer game on Friday night, and I had a blast. And like I didn't look at my phone. It was awesome. So yeah, life without a phone is better, but sadly we need them with how society works. But
Fair enough.
that's a completely different thing. For those who missed it, Indiana has landed not 1 but 2 players via the transfer portal. C. Fitch said, if I remember correctly, Jonathan doesn't like music or much music or something, so of course he wouldn't like Coachella.
Where was that at?
That's on X.
Okay.
Yeah, and C. Fitch, that's you're not too far off. I'm not a big music guy. That's a really fair point. Yeah, I just like I don't know. I don't really listen to music. It's not that I don't like it. I think it's impossible to not like music. Like there's something for everybody. But if I have an option,
It'd be okay if you didn't. You know what I mean? It's just like some people love more music than others. Like,
yeah.
you know.
I just think, if I'm given the option of like Jonathan, you can listen to blank, blank band or whatever that everybody likes. Or you can listen to Tim Legler talk hoops for 30 minutes. I'm going to listen to Tim Legler talk hoops for 30 minutes. So, anyway, yeah, C-Fitch, that's a really, really good point. C-Fitch, you're still yet to call in 317-228-1430. I'm not, like offended or anything. Like my feelings are like a little hurt. But hey, it's fine.
Are you salty?
I don't know if I'm
Salty today?
salty. I just kind of figured like C-Fitch was the first person who texted me when it was announced that I was coming back, and he hadn't called in. So, hey man, it's it's fine. But yeah, I don't know, like sporting events, I think boxing would be an excellent sporting event without your phone.
I would agree with that.
I'm trying to think. Any event, I like it because you don't have the let's call it the influencer effect, where like if you went to the US Open this last year and you just showed up, you would just see all these young people taking photos all over the place. And like they're not even there for tennis. They're just there to take photos. I don't like that. Like I want to show up to a sporting event with other people who are passionate about the sporting event, not passionate about posting on social media that they were at said sporting event. So I think tennis matches would be good to ban phones at. I think hockey, because like for football games, I want my phone because there's like a 15-minute halftime where I just have to like sit there. Whereas with golf, like there is no halftime. You kind of flow through it. Hockey, it is 20 minutes of like uncut action. Tennis, I think, is the same way. Whoever's calling in, it's C-Fitch probably. If it's C-Fitch, tell them we're gonna have to wait till after the break. Hey, after the break, yeah. We'll have C-Fitch on right after the break. We'll talk about whatever he wants to talk about.
do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 3 getting underway here on the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, just want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X __ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also download that Indy Sports Ticket app, or of course, 1430 a.m. if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. We got a Misfit, C. Fitch, calling in. What's going on, C. Fitch? How are you, man?
Hey, well, congratulations on your new show.
Thank you.
I'm defending myself because I was in Arizona for meetings all last week, so that's why I've been delayed.
Have you perhaps been spying on Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini while you were out there?
No, I couldn't care less. Hey, as the great Dan Dockage would say, it is undefeated, so I'm not surprised.
It is undefeated. It has never lost. It will never lose. I don't think it'll ever lose. All right.
But something I'm sure you haven't touched on yet is it's WrestleMania week, Jonathan. And so we should be doing full breakdowns every match all week long of WrestleMania.
See, Fitch,
that's what Chris is here for.
I tried to tell him this, and he was like, "You watch wrestling, you're a dork."
That's not true. I did not say that.
But yeah, we're working on that.
We are. We kind of messed up. Chris told me that WrestleMania was this last Saturday, so we did some stuff on it last week, and then he was like, he texted me over the weekend. He was like, "I was wrong. It's next weekend." And so, but yeah, we'll definitely
and Sunday.
Oh, is it okay? Yeah, we'll probably do some stuff on it on Thursday and Friday then, since like you said, like it is a big deal. It is something that people are really invested in, and ultimately, I mean, you know how the show is. I'm going to talk about whatever you guys want. So,
and we get to see Brock Lesnar's potentially last WrestleMania. I mean, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. John Cena's hosting it as well. Like I think that's a big deal. It may not be. I know Chris told me it's not like he's been gone for forever and they brought him back.
Right.
But still, like, anytime John Cena's there, I feel like that's an important thing.
Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way. I do have a question for you.
What's up?
Is Kenny Moore worth $10 million to your cap? Because that looks like that is whoever trades for him is going to take on $10 million of his contract, and the Colts will have $6 million in dead cap space.
I think it depends on who you are. Teams that feel like they're a slot corner away from like competing for a Super Bowl, which I know sounds ridiculous, but like when you go through NFL offenses right now, it seems like a lot of these teams have a guy in the slot who can be problematic for you if you don't have a guy there. So I think if you're a team like the Rams or the Eagles, maybe Washington, because they need help in their secondary, I think a team like that, it would be worth it. But if you're like the Titans or, you know, like a fringe playoff team like the Steelers, then no, I don't think it'd be worth it. That's why it's not worth it for the Colts.
Well, you know, I sent you a tweet that said the 3 pillars are all gone. 3 pillars of what? 3 pillars of suck? I mean, because that's pretty much what the Colts have got with those guys.
Yeah, for those who don't know what he's referencing, the 3 pillars, theoretically, being Michael Pittman Jr., Zaire Franklin, and Kenny Moore. And, you know, like, here's the biggest problem. Like, the biggest problem with that Colts, you can see it in the photo. Michael Pittman Jr. was a second-round pick, which is good. Zaire Franklin was a 7th-round pick, and Kenny Moore was an undrafted free agent. Like, if those are your 3 pillars, you're in trouble.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and I would keep cleaning the house of the quote-unquote OGs. Like, I mean, I would be exploring trades for Buckner, for Nelson. Like, I don't care because everybody's had a chance long enough. And I'm not as excited about Daniel Jones this year as last year, for the record.
Why is that?
Just coming off the injury, year older, who knows how good he's actually going to be. Whereas last year he came in, basically had the year off, you know, and came in fresh. And I just knew he was going to beat Anthony Richardson out.
Yeah.
So
you also saw the
guy,
last 3 games he played where he was terrible.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, yeah, agreed. Hey,
So.
I said he was going to beat Richardson out. I didn't say they were going to win the Super Bowl with him.
Fair enough. All right, see, Fitch. Thanks for the call, man.
Hey, great show. You're doing a great job, man. Keep it up.
Appreciate it. That is C. Fitch. He's a misfit. You'll hear him call in from time to time. We may have to bully him to make it happen, but ultimately, he'll call in occasionally. I do want to go back to that though, where he was talking about the Colts and Ari Myrov. That's totally butchered his name, but that's fine. He's kind of an NFL reporter. I would say he's more of like an NFL opinionist. But he basically said that the three pillars of the franchise were Michael Pittman Jr., Zaire Franklin, and Kenny Moore. And he has this whole thing on how they were so important, not only with what they did on the field, but also what they did in terms of leadership and all these things. And more issues for the Colts. Again, if your three best players are a second-round pick who is probably like a number 2 as a wide receiver, Zaire Franklin, who was a 7th-round pick, and yes, I know he made a lot of tackles, but a lot of them were like 7 yards down the field. And then your third pillar is a slot corner in Kenny Moore, who was an undrafted free agent. Like, this is why the Colts haven't been very good. Like, their best players have been average. And we've known this for a while. I think Volter tweeted at me earlier during the show and said that the Colts are the best team in the NFL at drafting Jags. Chris, do you know what a Jag is?
I do not.
Just another guy.
That makes sense.
And he's right, because like Zaire Franklin playing for Seattle or Philadelphia or any team with like real hopes at like winning a lot of games, he's just another guy on those rosters. But here in Indianapolis, he's a pillar apparently. Michael Pittman Jr., like if he was playing for, I don't know, the Rams or any team with like legitimate Super Bowl hopes, the Ravens, he's just another guy. He's just another wide receiver who's going to catch like 80 balls, and that's it. Kenny Moore, if he's playing for Philly or the Rams or Seattle or any of those teams that you have the 49ers, and any of those teams that you have high expectations for year in and year out, like Kenny Moore's just another guy. But again, here in Indianapolis, oh man, Kenny Moore. We're going to lose 30-year-old Kenny Moore. Man, we're in trouble. What are we going to do defensively? Oh my goodness. That's the Colts' problem. Also, leadership-wise, your quarterback has to be your leader. And this whole, not only are the Colts losing stuff on the field, but off the field as well. Like, that shouldn't be the case. Daniel Jones should, and he might be, I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. Like, he should be the guy that the offense is looking at as a whole, right? Like, you obviously have guys in, like, your wide receiver rooms and those kind of things. But ultimately, like, the offense shouldn't be looking at Michael Pittman Jr. to lead. They should be looking at Daniel Jones. And maybe that is what's happening. But, yeah, man, just not great. Not great. So, the Indianapolis Colts, another year of suck is incoming for the Indianapolis Colts. I think that they're going to be worse this year than they were last year. Maybe they blow us away in the draft and they draft 7 guys who can just immediately play and be awesome. But I don't think that that's going to happen. Speaking of playing and being awesome, Rory McIlroy, 2 years in a row, has won the Masters. And the saying, pressure is a privilege. When people say it, I really just want to smack them across the face. Because it's just one of those annoying sports sayings that people that played like 1A high school basketball like to bring up. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I will say, though, I don't think that there's a sport that comes with more pressure than golf. You don't have any teammates to blame anything on whenever you play golf. It's all about you. Like in basketball, like if your teammate makes a bad pass, like, he didn't hit me in the shooting pocket or whatever, Or in football, your offensive lineman, he can miss a block, and that can, bail you out from having to answer for your mistake in a big spot. But golf, it's all you. Like there's no one else to blame any of the mistakes on. Okay? Like if you give up a lead, it's because you choked. And then I also think that the lack of flow to golf leads to there being more pressure, whereas games that have flow have less pressure. Like that's why even though tennis is an individual sport, I don't think that you feel the pressure as much in those games because when the point starts, like you're in the point. You're not thinking about anything else. You're thinking, oh crap, I just hit it to Roger Federer's backhand, and I know he's about to slam this thing cross court. I better get over there. Right? Those thoughts take over pretty quickly. Same thing with like hockey, basketball, football, whatever. There's no flow to golf. It's like, oh, I just, hit, I just had like a 100-yard iron shot, and I put the ball to 8 feet. Holy crap! And in the next 60 to 90 seconds, as you're walking up to that ball, like you're thinking, man, like if I make this 8-foot putt, then I take the lead or I win the Masters or whatever it is. You don't have that in any other sport. Okay? And that whole walk, you're thinking about that next pressure-packed putt. Then you have, you have to find your line, stand over the ball, and make the putt. Like me personally, I get nervous just watching these guys on Sunday. Like when McIlroy sliced his drive on the 18th hole, like I'm sitting at home and I'm feeling the pressure on shot 2. I'm like, man, good thing it's not me up there. Or I'd slice it onto the hole 10's fairway. Jeez. Justin Rose, he felt the pressure. It wasn't even on the 18th hole. He had the lead going into the back 9. And you felt the tension rise when that happened because Justin Rose is a guy who's gotten close multiple times to getting to put on the green jacket. And I got excited for him. I was pulling for him. And then hole 11 happened. And you could argue that hole 11 cost him a green jacket because he struggled to find his groove again after that hole. Okay, and it not only cost him a green jacket, it also cost him millions of dollars, which I don't know. I don't know which one would upset me more. Not getting to put on a green jacket or missing out on the $3.5 million more dollars that McIlroy won compared to what Justin Rose did, or the $1.35 million or more, $1.35 more million that Scotty Scheffler won because he came in second, whereas Justin Rose won $1.08 million because he came in third. Right? So I don't know, but Rory McIlroy's ability to handle pressure throughout the entire tournament 2 years in a row is incredible. Because you go back to last year, you feel the pressure on 18 and in the playoff because you're on the verge of completing that career Grand Slam, that thing that McIlroy had been chasing for so long. And then this year, you have an opportunity to become the 4th golfer ever to win the Masters 2 years in a row. So like in both moments, you're chasing these huge accomplishments. And I would really like to know which one, led to him being more nervous. Because yes, completing the career Grand Slam is a big deal, but so is joining Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus and Nick Faldo as, the 4th golfer ever to win the Masters 2 years in a row. And you know that he knows that. Like these guys that play professional sports and are really good, they tend to have a pretty solid idea of what the history is. So the ability to reset and pull it out after his poor drive to start the 18th hole, I thought was one of the more impressive things of the tournament history on the line. He collects himself, and then he found a way to etch himself in the history books for the second year in a row, which is just, it's such a cool thing. Like making sports history is just something that I will never get tired of seeing people do. Again, the photos are amazing of the moment because, no one's really on their phone or anything like that. Yeah, it's really, really impressive stuff. So Rory McIlroy, 2 years in a row, he has won the Masters. Pretty impressive stuff. The Oklahoma City Thunder are looking to do what Rory McIlroy did in terms of the ability to go back to back. The NBA play-in games start tomorrow night. The playoff games start this weekend. I can't wait. It's a glorious weekend. It's the best basketball on the planet being played for the next 2 months. And even though the Pacers aren't in it, we will still discuss it here on the Real Jonathan Smith Show because it's the biggest thing going on right now. And we will talk about the NBA playoffs and how they are set in 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X__ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM. Big news. The Indianapolis Colts are also hosting Garrett Nussmeier on a visit today. The Colts don't need him. They need a lot of other things before they need a quarterback. But I mean, hey, I would get excited about the idea of Garrett Nussmeier coming in here. You know, you probably have to sit him for a year or two, but just saying, that it's interesting. It's interesting. So the NBA playoffs, they are set. Playing games begin tomorrow night. Can't wait. Suns Trailblazers tomorrow night is going to be a lot of fun. Hornets, 76ers and Magic, I think, should be the other game, right? Let me pull it up again. Yeah. Heat and Hornets at 7:30 tomorrow night, and then you got Trailblazers and Suns at 10. Can't wait. I just the level of that NBA basketball gets to during the playoffs is just it's the best basketball on the planet. Where like the slightest weakness of every team gets exploited. And when you watch college basketball, I don't feel like matchups matter as much because ultimately, like Michigan just had better players than everybody else, and so they ran through everybody, right? Whereas the NBA level, that's not the case. Everyone has awesome players, and so matchups matter more, and game to game adjustments matter more. And I can't wait over the next 2 months to just sit at home on my couch, feet up, notepad out, running through all of the NBA playoff games. And, with the Pacers not being in the playoffs this year, probably won't talk about it as much, but I am going to talk about it because it is my personal favorite thing that happens on the sports calendar every year. I love the NBA playoffs. I love the NBA in general. What I don't love is how people in and around the NBA love to complain. It's like their favorite thing. It's like if you were involved in the NBA, your favorite thing is basketball, but your second favorite thing is complaining about basketball. And right now, all these NBA people are complaining about tanking and officiating and the NBA's 65-game rule, which I love. I think it's been a success. Charles Barkley last night on ESPN had something to say to all the players complaining about the 65-game rule. What the hell up? That's what Charles Barkley telling these players to do. He makes a great point. Players voted on this. They voted on it. It's a great point by Charles Barkley. So I think that this rule has really been a success. We're not seeing players load manage as often anymore. And that's such an important thing because when you go to Gainbridge Fieldhouse, you deserve to not only see the Pacers' best players, but also their opponents' best players. I went to the game on Friday night. It was a little disappointing that Joel Embiid had appendicitis and wasn't able to play on Friday night. It was because, when you go watch Philly, you want to see one of the 25 games that Joel Embiid plays every year. Okay, so you not only want to see, Halliburton and Siakam and all these guys, you want to see the opposing team's best players as well. Next year, when the Spurs come to town, I really hope, man, I hope that Wemby plays because I want to see that guy play basketball, right? Who doesn't want to watch the 7'5" alien try to play hoops, right? So I'm a big fan of the 65-game rule for that reason. Now, this rule has led to a number of players not qualifying for awards. Anthony Edwards, Cade Cunningham, LeBron James, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Giannis, all those guys not eligible for awards this season. Almost all these guys would have earned an all NBA nod or something like that if they were eligible. But people are complaining, and people are complaining because of that. And that's before you get to the Luka Doncic thing, who he may miss out. He's going to appeal. He played 64 games on the year, but currently he's injured. But Luka had to miss 2 games to travel to a different continent for his daughter's birth that happened back in December, which would fall under the, extraordinary circumstance waiver, where, because you could say, well, if he didn't go to his daughter's birth, then, he would have played 66 games and he would have met that 65 game threshold. Real quick on this. They should absolutely not grant him that extraordinary circumstance waiver. He missed a game this year due to suspension because he just got too many technical fouls. So if he hadn't been yapping and complaining at officials all year, he would have hit the mark. Okay, so Lucas should not be granted that waiver exception. Okay, but the problem that people have with the rule is it doesn't allow for the best players to be honored and remembered every season. And that is the point of all NBA. It is this award that you were selected to that says you were one of the 5 best players in basketball this year, or you were one of the 10 best players in basketball this year if you make second team, and so on. Okay, but here's the thing, and this is another reason why players don't like it. All NBA bids and defensive player of the year and MVP and all those things, all of those play into your contract. For example, Tyrese Halliburton 2 years ago, first time he made All NBA. It was a big deal because he had his extension coming up. And if you make All NBA, you were eligible for the Supermax. It's a big deal. It allows you to make more money than your normal max, right? So players, I don't think, like how their money is not only tied to these awards, but in turn, they're tied to playing 65 games because you have to play 65 games in order to be eligible for the awards. Here's my thing. That's how every job works. Every job, the amount of money you get paid is likely tied to how often you work. I mean, just what an amazing concept. Oh, you mean the more that I work, the more that I get paid? Yeah. Look, if I missed 20% of my shows, I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't. If I missed 10% of my shows, I don't think I would have a job. What's the lowest percentage of shows that we could miss for us to still be here?
Probably 0. You mean with acceptance and
Yeah. I mean, it's if we missed,
I don't know about 0, just probably not very many. Not very many shows.
If we missed 10, I think we'd be okay.
Really?
I'm trying to think.
Are we testing this?
Yeah. Let's get Mike in here. Hey, Mike, what is the most number of shows that I can miss in order for me to keep my job? I want to work as little as possible, even though that is the American dream. It is. Everybody's dream is to get paid without working. My goal is to get suspended here at some point. Correction, suspended with pay. Suspended with pay. That's the goal. That's the dream. But yeah, if I consistently missed work, I wouldn't have a job anymore. And I don't think it's ridiculous to ask these players to not miss a fifth of their games. Just imagine if I didn't show up to work on Friday. Or imagine if you didn't show up to work on Fridays. You would get fired pretty quickly. Okay? The more you work, the more you get paid. That's such a simple thing. And I don't think it's ridiculous at all to ask these players to show up to work. Jeez Louise. The Pacers showed up to work all year. They punched their ticket to earn a top 3. They punched their ticket to have one of the 3 worst records in the NBA on Friday night. And, good for them. When the Pacers had all the injuries to start the season, Mathurin was banged up, Nembhard got hurt, and so on. I think they came into the year really wanting to compete, wanting to win games, wanting to try to make a run to, the NBA Finals or to the NBA playoffs without Halliburton and all those things, okay? But then when all those injuries happened and all the losses piled up, I think that they pivoted at that point to trying to earn a top pick in the draft. And they've done that. They've got a 52% chance of earning a top 4 pick. They're due for that, right? They have a 14% chance to earn the number 1 overall pick. They're due for that as well. The Pacers have never had the number 1 overall pick in the history of their franchise. They've had the number 2 pick 3 times. Shout out to Ross, who called in earlier. He named 2 of the 3 Pacers to be drafted number 2 overall. He won He won Holiday World tickets when he did that. The three are Rick Smits in 1988. That's the popular one. I think that's the one everyone knows. Wayman Tisdale in 1985, and then Steve Stepanovich in 1983. Okay, those are the three guys who have been the number 2 overall pick for the Pacers. And I'll be honest, if the Pacers pick second for the 4th time in their history, I think I'd be fine with that as well. But ultimately, we all want the number 1 overall pick. And that is something that everyone is going to be paying attention to as the draft gets closer after May 10th, which is when the lottery is. We're all going to really kind of lock in on, the Pacers have the 3rd pick. I really hope Cam Boozer's there or whatever it is. But something that I would argue is more important, the Pacers' current players have to get better. And I love what Pascal Siakam said about that yesterday after their loss to the Pistons. Pascal Siakam right there talking about how he wants his teammates to take the reins into the summer. And look, man, like they should be upset. I'd be upset if I only won 18 games all year. It's not fun. No one has any fun doing that. And he's right. They have to get better in the offseason because a lot of teams are going to get better in the offseason. The Spurs, they're going to be better next year as their young talent gets a year older, has a playoff run under their belts. Okay, the Thunder, they're going to be better next year as their already solidified players go another year deeper into their primes. The Knicks could trade for Giannis in the offseason. The Hawks could trade for Giannis in the offseason. The Hawks are good too, by the way. They're going to give the Knicks all they can handle in that first round. The Magic, they're going to shake things up in the offseason. Maybe next year's the year where, Paulo and Franz both actually stay healthy for the Magic and they come back a better basketball team. Everybody is going to get better. It is going to happen. Okay, the Wizards traded for Trae Young and Anthony Davis. They're going to be better next year. Now, hopefully, the Pacers are going to land the number 1 overall pick, and whoever they take comes in, fits in really well, and is able to contribute and help this team win. That's not guaranteed, though. Whoever the Pacers take with that first round pick could turn out to be a non-factor. The Pacers could get the short end of the stick and land the 5th pick in the NBA draft and not have a first round pick this year. Like that's really possible. And if anything like that happens, then those core guys, Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard, Obi Toppin, and so on, all of those guys coming back next year that are expected to play big roles and hopefully another Pacers run to the NBA Finals, they all have to come back better players next year. The league gets better every year, and the Pacers have to match that progression if they want to compete for a title. Now, this is one of the nice things about having a guy like Pascal Siakam on your roster. This is a guy who holds people accountable. I think he's an excellent leader. You go back, 2 off seasons ago, and you look at, all those Pacer players going to Orlando to work out with Pascal Siakam in his personal gym. And then, they came back in the following year. They obviously make a run to the NBA Finals, right? Like, so his leadership, I think, is going to be very influential in all of that. And I can't wait to see how the Pacers look next year. I think that they're going to get off to a really hot start. And I think that they're going to be highly motivated this offseason, coming off such a brutal year, plus the expectations that are laid out before them for next season. So hopefully, as Pascal Siakam said, they take that rage into the summer and they come back a little bit better. Speaking of coming back better, Indiana basketball, we got some recruiting updates for you when we come back in 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching on X, 1430 AM. Maybe you've got that Indy Sports Ticket app downloaded to your phone, and you're listening, during a meeting that you're supposed to be having. I don't know. However you're listening, though, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. And Indiana basketball, they're getting some of you Indiana basketball fans to pipe down a little bit. Jeff Goodman reported about 40 minutes ago that Indiana has emerged as the clear front runner for Marcus Burton, small guard who, really scored it well last year at Notre Dame, averaged about 18.5 points a game. They landed, another guard in Darren Harris from Duke, 6'5", came off the bench for Duke the last 2 years. He's supposed to be able to shoot it. We'll see. Who else landed on that list? There's a third guy whose name I'm blanking on right now. He's from Georgia Tech, 6'6", averaged about 10 points a game last year. So, the dominoes for Indiana basketball, they're starting to fall, and that's a good thing. We'll see if it's if it works out well for them or not. I just go win games, man. Like every year, some team does really well in the portal, right? And they spend a whole bunch of money, whether it's college football or college basketball or whatever it is, right? And there's always one team that spends a ton of money in the portal, and it never really works out for them. Last year, college basketball, it was Kentucky, right? It's rumored that they spent like $22 million just to earn the 7 seed and almost get bounced in the first round. If it's not for a 38-foot prayer that banked in, then they would have gone home in the first round. Instead, they advanced and they lose it in the second round to Iowa State. So that's, the reality of it. So I don't know, man. You're going to have all these Indiana fans. They get super excited about it. It's like, look at all these guys that are coming in, who cares, man? Like, let's see these guys be good before we say anything crazy about them. And that really goes for every team. This is part of what kind of makes college basketball and college football interesting. You have all this turnover every year, and so no one really knows who's going to be good. Sure, we can make educated guesses, but with all the turnover, it's really tough to know, who's going to be good and who's not. So, Chris, I can't believe it, man. I haven't talked at all about the most important sporting event going on tonight. You've been on it. You've been talking to me about it.
Can't get away from it, man. How could you forget about the WNBA draft?
I know. I'm such a terrible person. I'm so misogynistic, man. Like, no, can you name 3 players that are going to be in the draft?
Dude, I can't name one. And that's after seeing the news this morning and they were talking about the Fever's potential picks. I still don't even remember who they talked about.
There's a have you seen the Geico commercial of the girl at the gym where it's like she's got like her friends and neighbors around her and then like 3,000 Geico agents, and she does like a set on the bench press?
Yeah, yeah.
She's in the draft. I don't know her name.
Okay, I had no idea.
But she's in the draft.
Wow.
It's the only one.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Is she a top prospect or something?
I think so. Okay. I would assume so. I mean, certainly they're not doing a commercial for the girl that's going to be like the last pick in the draft. That'd be really funny, though.
Touche. But not to take anything away from it, but man, I didn't even know that was happening until today. It's something obvious we don't follow.
I didn't either. Could you imagine cutting the Pat McAfee show short so we can hear people talk about the WNBA draft? I don't know. I don't feel like that's the best way to spend your programming time. At the same time, I don't know, man. Like if you're paying to broadcast the draft, then I guess you should probably do that.
Dude,
But
they could probably do the WNBA draft right now, and we'd be like, cool, just let me know what happens later.
seriously.
It's fine.
Also, I will say, we did have some like WNBA news over the weekend. Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham are, they'll be back on the Fever this year. So all you guys can go watch them play.
I am excited about that. Outside of, a handful of Fever players, I don't know anything about WNBA.
Man, yeah, and that's how most people are, and I think the most annoying part about this, because you know that it's gonna happen. Like you know that it's coming. Like whoever someone's gonna get drafted number one overall tonight, and then we're gonna have all these people acting like there's some new like attraction that people really care about. Because like you said, I didn't know that the WNBA draft was happening tonight until you said something. Seriously, and so whoever it is gonna go number one overall tonight. And then we'll have all these people like, oh, I can't believe that so-and-so is going to make her WNBA debut on this day or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think anyone really cares about that, but all right. And so I don't know, man. I'm just ready for everyone to acknowledge that Caitlin Clark is the only reason why anybody cares. We had Eddie White on last week. He laid it out. It's like the only teams that play in actual NBA arenas, it's the Fever, and then whoever they're playing that night, because they can actually sell enough tickets because people want to watch Caitlin Clark play. And what I'm really interested to see is this just like a forever thing? Like, are we always going to be enamored by Caitlin Clark, or after she's been in the league for like 6 years, will it kind of run its course?
That's a good question. She hasn't really done Caitlin Clark things since she's been in the WNBA, right? Like, she's different than
Her
when
rookie
she was
year
in
she
college.
did, but like last year she got hurt.
Right.
And so she barely played. And so I know I didn't talk about her at all last summer when I was on the air because she wasn't playing. It's like no one really cares unless she's playing. So I will say, I think this is, I don't know. I don't want to get too in the weeds on the WNBA, but they're like expanding, they're adding all these teams, and I think it's such a big mistake on their part. I think it's so incredibly dumb.
Why is that?
They don't have enough support. The league, I think, is too divided in terms of like why people are watching. I think you have like one attraction right now that people really care about, and that's it's Caitlin Clark, and that's really it. All right, and like I get it, some people like Angel Reese, but Angel Reese is so good that the team that drafted her traded her away after having her for 2 years.
Good point.
And so I just don't think that there's enough talent in the league, and I don't think that there's another star that people really gravitate towards. Whereas when you look at the NBA and when it kind of blew up, it didn't blow up until they had two attractions: Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird.
Yep.
And as soon as those guys showed up, the draw became larger, and because they had both of those guys, other people became famous, and then the league was able to kind of grow from there. And then Michael Jordan shows up, and it goes nuclear, right? And then you get more expansion teams and all these things. And so now when you look at the NBA, who's looking at expanding to 32 teams, seems like it's going to happen. We'll see.
Yeah. Yep.
Like they have multiple attractions, like Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Wemby are probably the three most popular players in the NBA. But here's the thing. That doesn't even count your big market guys. Like Jalen Brunson in New York is a really big deal. LeBron James and Luka Doncic are a really big deal in LA. Like there's just so much, and part of this is like there's more talent, but there's also more players that people gravitate towards, right? So they have enough to expand to 32 teams. The WNBA, like they don't have that yet. Like they've got Caitlin Clark, and then there's like some people out there who know who Asia Wilson is. There's some people out there who know who Sabrina Ionescu is. And then you probably know who Kelsey Plum is.
No, sorry, I don't.
Darren Waller's ex-wife.
Okay.
And like that's how people know her. They know her as Darren
okay.
Waller's ex-wife.
Now that you say it,
Who Darren Waller wrote an awful song about. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not. We should find this though.
Oh, it's you can search for it right now. It's awful. And like the video is it's brutal. Ross saying there was apparently a WNBA expansion draft. Yeah, I don't know if it's happened yet, but I know that there will be one. Is that 400-pound girl from Iowa State in the draft yet? No, she's actually in the transfer portal right now. We'll see what ends up happening with her because like she's clearly skilled and can like finish around the basket and all those things. She fits. Go ahead.
Is she really 400 pounds?
Have you seen her?
I have not.
Oh,
like,
look for.
Is this really a thing?
She might be. She's huge.
She's like the permanent center.
Here, let me find out. Women's basketball player, large.
Be careful.
Her name is Audie Crooks.
All right.
How much let's just Google it. How much does Audie Crooks weigh? That popped up really, really quickly.
I want to know what else came up.
Okay. She weighs, there's no way. There's no way. Google says she's 216 pounds, and there's no way.
She's a sturdy gal.
Yeah. She's more than that. There's absolutely no way she only weighs 215 pounds.
Well, that's cool. I hope she gets drafted. I would watch the draft to see if she gets drafted.
She's in the transfer portal. So who knows where? But she was at Iowa State this last year. I'm really curious now. What does ESPN have her at? Even though I think it'd be the most ESPN thing ever if they didn't list the weight of the female athletes. She's a bucket though, man. She averages 26 a game. All right, let's look at her bio here. They don't have it. They don't have her weight on there. Yeah, she's 6'3". There's no way she's 6'3", 215. Absolutely not.
That's impressive.
There's no way. I don't know. We got to get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
Just incredible stuff. But yeah, no, she's not in the draft quite yet. Did you find the Darren Waller song?
I looked for it. What's the name of it?
I don't.
So there's In the Valley, Who Who Knew? Is it one of those two? Those are the first two videos that came up.
Let me look. I think it's called Who Knew?
Okay.
Her perspective in quotes. It's awful. It's one of the worst songs ever. And it's really weird because he does a music video and the actress that he hires to play Kelsey Plum looks just like her. It's really
Okay. I will have to look at this.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm assuming there's language. I don't really know though. But yeah, man, Darren Waller. We didn't get distracted at all. See if it's chiming in saying he only pays attention to Sophie Cunningham because she's hot. Otherwise, the WNBA is like tennis. Push back. I love tennis. Like the U.S. Open, love watching it every year. Wimbledon, I would love to go to Wimbledon. Like I think that would be such a cool and unique experience. Like it's because I think it would have a pretty similar feel to the Masters. Like everyone's really kind of put together and it's a sporting event, but like there's a lot of class, like you have to be a gentleman. You can't, be at like a Pacers game where you can like rip your shirt off and wave it above your head. And, that's not really, I mean, I guess you could do that at Wimbledon. They would just ask you to leave.
I would go to Wimbledon over to Masters personally.
Why is that?
For me, because there's a little bit more action there for me in tennis than golf. I need
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's actually a great point. Great point. No pun intended.
I respect the golf, the Masters, all of it. I respect it. I just need a little bit more action. Wimbledon would be more for me.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, it'd also just be cool to be in London during Wimbledon. I think that would just be a really unique experience in and of itself. I wish, like, I'd love to be there when an English person won, because you know that the town would just go crazy. Because I mean, when Andy Murray won it, oh, when did he win it? I was a child, probably like close to 20 years ago now. Like, I just remember that whole place went crazy, and then we haven't had an English person win it since. So I think that'd be really cool. We covered everything today. We covered tennis. We covered the WNBA draft. We talked about the NBA playoffs. We talked about Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini and how Mike Vrabel's ducking smoke. Indiana basketball's landed a couple of recruits. That's good and exciting, I guess. We'll probably talk about it a little bit more tomorrow as well, because hopefully they land a couple more guys. So Indiana basketball rolling. And so is the Real Jonathan Smith Show. We should hopefully have Frank Isola on tomorrow to break down the NBA playoffs. We're looking at 1 o'clock for that. So make sure you're tuned in for that. We'll do Top 10 Tuesday, all that good stuff tomorrow on the Real Jonathan Smith Show starting at noon.